Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Studs. I am your host, Daniel.
I'm Randy.
I'm Garrett.
And we are bringing you another LEGO Masters review episode. We are reviewing episode, again, I'm really bad at checking the numbers, 5?
I think it's 5.
Episode 5? Okay. We were talking about steampunk today. They were not super explicitly mentioning it. They just kind of kept talking about gears and
There's a lot of gears, yeah.
Did they say, surely they said steampunk somewhere in the episode.
I don't think they did. It was just a lot of alluding to it.
Heavily implied.
It was weird,
Maybe not. Maybe they never mentioned it. It's not like it's a trademark or anything as far as I know. But anyway, we were talking about this LEGO Masters Episode 5 challenge with not only Will Arnett and Jamie and Amy, but featuring Richard Gears.
That joke was crazy.
That was probably the only good joke in the episode. Maybe. I was going to say the best joke, but there weren't many in this one. That was pretty good, though. Yes, his supercomputer full of gears and bells and whistles and things was kind of fun. But yes, this challenge was focused all about motion, including several different motions prescribed, including swing, twist, spin, and push. So only 4 motions for the 8 teams, as they had 7 hours to build their creations to go head-to-head against another team. First 4 teams were drawn randomly.
Of course they were.
And then they got to pick who they wanted to oppose, but the opposing team got to pick which motion they did. So it was very much, school kids on the playground or, dividing up cake. You cut, I choose kind of set up here. But what did y'all think about the challenge and the theming of this week's episode in general?
I think it was a really good one. I like the concept, and it's always good to do a challenge that involves motion or electronics or lights. That's a big part of building that I feel like a lot of people overlook. And
Absolutely.
It always enhances a build.
Yeah.
So I think it was a great idea for an episode.
Yeah. Especially for like a non-licensed
wise, we'll get into that.
Yes, we will. How about you, Randy? First impressions of the challenge.
I love it. I like anything that involves motion with Lego because I think people always think of just like a square brick, and so anytime you can bring motion to it, I think is great. The theme was really fun. There was some execution problems, but the theme was really. I think it was a fun idea for the
really cool
for the show.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was saying, especially for the non-licensed ones, they take a concept like motion and then they're like, let's apply a cosmetic, wrapping to it that kind of fits with that. So I think that worked really well in this sense. But let's get into the team pairings here. So the first random team chosen by Richard Gears was Ann and Luke, the mom and son combo. And they chose to face off against Nikki and Britain, the pair of sisters. This pairing, kind of similar to, was it just last week where Ben and Michael got kind of shortchanged because everyone was voting for, I think, the weaker of the two teams.
Yes.
Ann and Luke were kind of still following that. He very, very blatantly said in the little interview, like, we picked them because we think they're the weakest team.
Yeah.
So, all right, out in the air.
Yeah, that was a little rough.
But yes, Ann and Luke faced off against Nikki and Britain, and Nikki and Britain then picked the swinging motion. So, I don't know. What did y'all think about the motions first, I guess, just in general? Well, like I said, we had swing, twist, spin, and push. What would each of y'all have chosen, given the opportunity?
The swing's one that I struggled to come up with a concept for. They're good motion ones, but I don't know. Swing was not one I would have.
I was surprised it was picked first.
I wouldn't have gone with
that. I was expecting that to get left to the end. How about you, Randy? Is any of those that jumped out to you?
I like it. I like the push one. I think there was a lot of things you could do with that. Yeah. And especially in different pushing up or pushing down and pushing side to side. I feel like there's a lot to do with that.
For sure. Absolutely. But as far as the team's builds, so Ann and Luke took swing and decided to build the running out of time build, which was the large sort of grandfather clock, kind of like emerging out of the desert, and the face of it was blowing up, and the guy was climbing the... Yeah.
Cool, attempt to add, static motion.
Yeah, absolutely. They got very kind of abstract, I think, with their storytelling and their concept. I mean, really, if they wanted to build a clock, they could have done anything. They could have just done the 3 blind mice or something, but they're like, it's on an alien planet and the guy's climbing up and a portal to another dimension busts out of the clock face.
This episode's storytelling was really going.
I feel like a lot of the storytelling for this entire season has been Okay.
Yeah. I want less storytelling, more building. I would like those moments. I'd rather watch them build.
A simple story can be just as effective as a really complex one. I mean, maybe they were inspired by something like Stranger Things, where the like whole clock motif played in. It was very like other dimension, otherworldly.
I feel like
maybe that was part of their inspiration.
The story elements for a lot of people's builds this season are coming after the fact, and they have their build, and then they're trying to justify their build.
Right. Yeah. They get that time to explain their story, but if you were just looking at the build at a convention or in a museum or something, you wouldn't understand necessarily the story for a lot of these. But overall, what were your all's impressions of their build overall? It was, I think, by far the largest build in the room.
Yeah, if anything, they had, like the size advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know if this was one of my favorites. Yeah. I like the concept of it. Again, swing isn't the motion I would have gone with for this challenge.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Randy?
I like the size was really cool, and I think the like actual build of the clock, but there was no like details. There was no like change in color really. I think the size took up so much of their time that there wasn't any attention to detail with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and some of those little small things make such a difference.
Yeah, Luke is really good at building large, but I think when he chooses to do that, he does not also have the time or resources to spend into actually adding some extra texture or detail. So it was a lot of just kind of 4 straight blank walls. Even the pendulum, I think, was just pretty much made out of Technic beams. I would have liked to seen at least some plates or some adornment or filigree or detail. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was the same problem with I think it was Corey and Rebecca when they built the ant with the Technic legs. It's like cover them in something. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right, but as we mentioned already, they were facing off against Nikki and Britain, who built the Bad Day to Be a Convertible with the windshield wipers. Randy, you sound like you want to talk about this one first.
This one, at first when they're explaining it, they did their storytelling, they have their little animation. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And then they're building it. And then they come up with this, it's raining cats and dogs. And as soon as they did that, I went, vehicles and animals should not, I don't know. It was concerning to me, and then as more and more they built it, I was like, oh, I don't like the cat strapped to the windshield wipers.
They were kind of piled up against the wheels.
Yeah,
and it gave a grisly scene.
Yeah, it gave off something I don't think we really wanted to see. I just, that vision was not clearly set forth, I don't think. The clouds were really sad, too. I didn't really like those.
How about you, Garrett? First impressions of this build?
Completely agree. If the challenge had been roadkill, they would have won.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a funny concept. It's a good idea. Not every good idea is a good idea in practice.
Yeah. I'm with you there. So a lot of these teams, as usual, they pitch their concepts, and then on the show they kind of showed a hand-drawn kind of sketch representing their ideas. So as I was watching the episode, because this challenge was all about taking your motion and putting it front and center and building everything around that motion, I kind of made predictions based on just their concepts, because I think the concept phase was crucial to this challenge. So just looking at their concepts, I said that Anne and Luke had the better concept because they had a huge pendulum front and center. Nikki and Britain from the very start, it was a car with little windshield wipers. So we'll kind of track that as we go through the rest of these teams, but my predictions did end up playing out right for that one. I think Nikki and Britain's feature was just too small and low visibility.
It was only half a car.
Yeah,
it wasn't even the whole car. Yeah.
They had some scale issues, I think, as well.
If you have a whole challenge about motion, you have to incorporate it in a big way.
It's got to be front and center. Yeah. Next up was Ben and Michael, the pair of brothers, facing off against Corey and Rebecca, the DJs. So Ben and Michael actually picked Corey and Rebecca. I'm not sure why. I don't know if they think they were a weaker team or if they were wanting a good challenge. But Corey and Rebecca then ended up picking the twist motion. So Ben and Michael built the Steam Pirate Heist, which I think was actually the weaker of the two concepts, just because in their concept they were showing the like little small fins on the side of the pirate ships, and they were talking about the smokestacks kind of twisting. But overall, what did you all think about their build with the Steam Pirate Heist?
I think Ben and Michael may have had one of the best builds. Yeah. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah. Their building caliber is still the best in the room, I think.
We'll get into this when we talk about it. Like, judging wasn't an issue this episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
And this kind of shit, like, exemplified it for me.
Yeah.
I think they had a really cool build. Motion was simple, but I feel like it was, it fit very well.
Yeah. Their final build, I rated their concept as the worst of the two compared to Corey and Rebecca's, but I think their final build was a much better execution. How about you, Randy? What do you think about Ben and Michael?
When they first said it, I was like, and their little animation that came up, I was like, okay. But then the more they built it, I loved it. And then when it was done, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
It looked so good. That just should be on display somewhere. It's so nice. And yeah, so and I like the other teams too, but the other, I feel like there's something, which in some of the episodes, I feel like there's more to judging we're not given. I don't know what it would have been this episode, because the judging kind of seemed all over for me, but I thought it looked great.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Let's talk about Corey and Rebecca, though. They took the twist motion very literally and built the couple doing the twist in front of the large jukebox. Twisted Love was the name of their creation there. They had a little trouble with the jukebox attachment there. They kind of teased it where they were, I think, under an hour, maybe not, where they were still actually attaching the jukebox. But they had a nice big checkered floor kind of hiding all the gears and stuff to make those minifigures do their dance. But what did y'all think about this build in general?
I think it was a good build. I do think it was weaker than Ben and Michael's. I do like their movement being more literal. They're actually doing the twist.
Yeah.
I think that their motion may have been slightly better. I just feel like Ben and Michael definitely had the better build.
Yeah. How about you, Randy?
I really liked this concept when it came out, and I actually liked it as they were building it, the dance floor and the two figures. But like the jukebox just felt flat, felt very open and sparse. Like I wish there was something more. I don't know what they would have added to it being the theme, but it felt sparse to me. I love the dress that moved, how they put the brakes. That was super cool. So they did have really good stuff with it, and I do think they gave the brothers a good run for their money kind of thing in it. But it just felt, I don't know, I wanted more with the jukebox or something. I was thinking something super colorful or something,
Absolutely. So like I said, I thought Corey and Rebecca had the much stronger concept. Because if you look at their concept image again, the dancers were much bigger and the jukebox is a little smaller. So I think it was just a relative scale and a composition issue in the end for them. The motion, of course, was very nice, which I think is why the judges gave it to them. They were very clearly judging based off of that motion and not just what was the better build. Overall, I think Ben and Michael had the better build, and Ben and Michael's build ended up better than their concept, but Corey and Rebecca's build ended up, I think, a little weaker than their initial concept. So I was surprised that they picked them. All right, our next pairing was Anthony and Joe, the pair of teachers who had the spin motion and built Dr. Spin, the hypnotist. This was a very strong concept and a very strong execution in my book. But what did y'all think about it?
That one was so good. I love the colors. I love the whole spinning letters on the back. Like, I just thought it was so good because so many elements were spinning. It wasn't just one or two things doing the same movement. It was a lot of things. So I think they knocked it out of the park with that.
All the letters in the background, the table and the chairs. It was a little dizzying to look at, which was great. How about you, Gay?
I thought it was really cool. I think it may have been one of the best incorporated motions, like, for what they chose.
Absolutely.
No context. Well, they definitely wanted it to spin. Like, you immediately get it off. So.
Absolutely.
And a great concept, I mean.
Yeah, great concept. A lot of great contrast. You had the black and white of the hypnotic spirals that were purples and greens. It was just very vibrant, really great composition, I think, as well.
Should have thrown some hypno discs in there.
Exactly. They were facing off against Sage and Ian was their selected partner. Anthony and Joe did say that they actually picked Sage and Ian because they wanted a challenge, and that paid off for them. Anthony and Joe ended up coming out on top of this pairing as Sage and Ian built the not-so-bad cat, which was the cat riding the motorcycle, popping the wheelie to avoid the bunny. But what did you all think about this build in general?
We just kept laughing at our house. If you've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the little rabbit, because in the concept art, I think the bunny was bigger, and so when it came out, that little tiny bunny was funny, but the motion was just so lacking, so lacking. Love the cat. I think it was cute with its ears folded back, but it was just lacking. And they were given that advice, and I still don't think they did anything to pivot that. And that is usually not a good combo.
That's the biggest thing in Lego Masters. When the judges give you that midway critique, you have to pivot to whatever they tell you, or you are going to lose. What do you think in general about the build, though, Garrett?
Adorable concept. I think it looked good as a build when it was done.
The little milk carton.
Yeah,
Lots of nice little
I thought
details.
it was really nice. It's just, as far as motion goes, if we're going to judge everything based on motion, they did not capture spin.
Yeah.
That is not one that I would have, taken a look at and been like, oh, that's what they picked.
Yeah.
I think they're good builders. I think they definitely gave them a challenge, but Dr. Spin was the perfect spin build.
Absolutely. They even admitted that motion was kind of not their strong suit as a team, and that they were much better builders. And I'm sure having two very heavily motion related challenges in a row kind of took its toll on them. But I think what they really needed to do, they already had the really big wheel on the front. Just make that spin and run a chain to it so the front wheel is spin too.
Yeah.
Maybe make it even bigger. I think the judges gave them that feedback with plenty of time to make that pivot, and they just kind of ignored the judges.
I feel like that's a big thing. And every season somebody gets advice, and then it's like,
they just don't do it.
I don't think I'm going to do that.
It's like, I dig your own grave, at your own risk.
I get you get a concept in your mind, and you just got to stick to it and just go to finish it, but you got to be able to pivot.
Yep.
Well, one thing we know they are good at is a high five.
Yeah,
because they had a high five challenge between these two.
And they were slaps.
They
and
were
claps
prepared. It was something.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of relationship with any of my siblings, but all right, good for them, I guess. But yeah, again, same kind of issue. Just general low visibility of their motion. It was just too small and got lost in the noise. Our final pairing here, we had the team Maya and Jamie, the dad and daughter combo, who selected to face off against John and Justin, who picked the push motion. So Maya and Jamie built the ultimate question, which was the question of whether pineapple belongs on pizza. So they had the giant pineapple character kind of taking over Pizza Town. A lot of nice things going on in this build, but what did y'all think about it in general?
Well, I think first we have to answer the question. Does pineapple belong
Yes.
on pizza? Oh, I say yes.
Oh, thumbs down from Garrett.
I'm going to make you my barbecue pizza with ham and pineapple. And it's going to be the best thing you've ever had.
But yes, they had push, so they built the ultimate question with the pineapple and the pizza. They had a lot of really nice little pizza characters, I thought.
Yes.
Again, we're seeing more of these brick-built characters, which is one of the staple things of Lego Masters, is how to stand out, is to not just use minifigs.
Really liked their pizza characters.
Yeah.
Didn't like their pineapple character.
Yeah.
I thought they were fine. The judges actually critiqued the pizza characters,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of strange. I don't know why. They were saying, I don't know if it was a contrast issue again or just didn't stand out. They were really heavy this challenge on whether the color you selected for your character stood out against the background.
Yeah.
They gave that critique against Dr. Spin, too, for having the purple jacket, I think. But I don't know. I didn't think it was that big of an issue for either of those teams. I think they were just looking for something to critique.
I think they just needed to,
Yeah. But any other impressions of this build in general about whether or not it succeeded at the challenge?
I like the small pizza characters, and I go, it was the opposite of the jukebox. There was so much happening.
Yeah,
I didn't know
honestly.
what I was, and you don't get that much time to look at the builds because of how many teams there are. I was like, I didn't know what was happening for a second. I couldn't take it all in. It was a lot, and I didn't enjoy the pineapple with the really long arms.
Garrett, do you have anything else you want to mention about that one?
Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
Doesn't belong on pizza.
Doesn't belong on pizza.
Fair enough.
Pineapple looked like what's his name, Mr. Tickles, the smiley face with the long arms.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, I don't like that. They were facing off again against John and Justin, who built the Quest to Recharge. They built some nice little robot characters, kind of navigating an obstacle course here. So, what did you all think about this build in general?
This one was pretty cool. I liked their characters a lot. I thought they were very well done.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Randy?
I really liked it. I love those little robot guys.
Yeah.
I think they were scaled slightly too big, so you couldn't see the push as much. Right? It was push, right?
Push,
yeah. You couldn't quite see them as well, or they needed to be maybe angled different. But I really liked their concept, and I thought it was done really well.
Yeah. This was the only pairing of teams that I rated John and Justin as having the stronger concept, but they ended up losing the challenge. So all the other ones, pretty much went along the lines of, I think, who had the better initial concept. Again, we kind of already talked about Ben and Michael, I think, had the weaker concept, but ended up executing it better, and Corey and Rebecca had the better concept, but executed it not as well. So I think that one should have been judged the other way. I think all the other ones were correct, except for this one. I think also still should have gone the other way. I like John and Justin's build better, again, specifically for the criteria that the judges were judging, even though, yes, their pistons were moving towards and away from the camera, so you lost it a little bit.
Yeah.
I still think it was a much better interpretation of push, whereas in Maya and Jamie's, the pizza characters were, they were moving in a linear fashion, but there was no pushing. They just
weren't being pushed
looked like
by
the figures
anything.
were moving in the
moving.
scene.
Yeah.
So
there was movement, but I didn't get pushed at all.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it seemed like they judged Corey and Rebecca versus Ben and Michael based on purely their best interpretation of the motion, whereas with this one, I think they were picking what they thought was the better build, or they just didn't think John and Justin's yellow pistons stood out enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. This one was weird judging.
Yeah, I disagree.
Consistent. There was just it was out of there.
Yeah. I think in John and Justin's original sketch concept as well, and I know the sketches aren't the ones that the teams actually draw, they're drawn after the fact, but I thought the pistons were shown going up and down in the original concept. Maybe not, but I thought it was the better build. I really loved the little robot characters, even though they were pretty large in scale. I think that's not something a lot of people do, so I think this one should have gone the other way. But what else did y'all think about the judging in general in terms of just the pairings of teams before we move on to the overall judging for the episode? Y'all think they got them right or wrong?
I think it's really cool to be able to, pair teams up like this in a challenge.
Top 4 and bottom 4.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
It's it is. It's a cutthroat. This was kind of the twist for this episode.
Right. Yes. Richard Gere's did attempt to spit out a twist, but then
nothing.
Amy and Jamie ran over and were like, "No, we're not doing that."
I think it's a cool concept to do it this way.
Yeah.
Again, I just don't feel this is the right way to judge Lego Masters.
That's fair. Yeah.
If you're
definitely a one-off kind of thing.
Yeah. This isn't indicative of building skills, in my opinion.
That's
Motion's a big part, but it's also one of those things that you can very easily be a 30-year-old and never touch a Lego electronic.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I
they push
never
it.
have.
They push it every season in Lego Masters because they want to promote, motion and motors. Yeah. But they're so hard to obtain. They're expensive or rare. You just can't find them. Like, we get people in the store all the time asking about motors and stuff because their kids just want to make stuff move. And they're probably kids who watch Lego Masters. And we're like, here's our motors, but they're
$40,
$30, $40, $50. And the parents are like, oh, never mind. Lego, just if you want to focus on motion so much, please make motors more widely available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back, electronic packs, like motor packs.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah. How about you, Randy? In terms of the pairings of the teams, do you think they got most of these right or wrong with their judging?
I'm like 50-50 on it. Yeah, I do like the head-to-head challenge. I like that they had the top 4 I was really worried they weren't going to eliminate anybody.
Yeah.
And I was worried that was going to be part of the thing with it being teams, but I'm glad that they're moving forward with it. So yeah.
I will say I do like this head-to-head pairing better than when they do team challenges because they never send anybody home on team challenges. So it doesn't really progress the season at all. But yes, so our top 4 was made up of Ann and Luke with the clock, Anthony and Joe with Dr. Spin, Corey and Rebecca with the twist and the jukebox, and Maya and Jamie with the pineapple monster taking over the city. So out of those top 4, who do y'all think should have won this episode? Or maybe even somebody who wasn't in the top 4 who deserved to be. Who do you all think should have won this challenge?
Dr. Spin.
Dr. Spin?
Mm-hmm.
I think if we're going based on motion, I think Dr. Spin should have won this.
Dr. Spin was my choice too. They were in the top 4, and I think they should have won it.
If we're going based on just pure build quality and just like raw skill, Ben and Michael.
Yeah, for sure. So I get why they didn't pick Ben and Michael for winning their pairing. So naturally, again, they were ineligible to win the whole episode, which is fine. Spread the wealth around a little bit. But I think Anthony and Joe with Dr. Spin absolutely should have won this challenge out of the top 4 they did pick. Yeah. But let's see. Let's talk about our bottom 4. So we had Nikki and Britain with the Bad Day to Be a Convertible, Sage and Ian with the Not So Bad Cat that just didn't integrate the motion well enough, Ben and Michael with their Steam Pirate Heist. We pretty much all knew they were fine. They weren't going home because of it. And John and Justin with the Quest to Recharge, which again I think should have won their pairing. So they were pretty much safe. I think it came down to Sage and Ian and Nikki and Britain, and Sage and Ian I think were fine. So Nikki and Britain were sadly the team that went home this week. Do you all agree or disagree? Do you think there was anyone who deserved to go home any more than that, or do you pretty much agree with that judgment?
Agree.
Yeah, I mean, Judging was weird this episode, but it was time.
I think that was one of the only things they got absolutely right. Yeah. So. It is always sad to see teams leave, but it is a natural part of LEGO Masters, so I think they made the right call here, and that's all that really matters. The only really frustrating thing in an episode is when they send home the wrong team, regardless of whether or not they pick the right winner. So I think that worked out well. Yes, we already mentioned there was no twist this week.
Well, there's 2 twists.
2 twists?
Yeah. 2 twists, yeah.
Yeah?
They built 2
do the twist.
They built 2 sets that twisted.
Right, yeah. Corey, Rebecca, and Ben and Michael, yeah. No, it was very good. But let's talk about costumes. We've kind of just started talking about costumes every week now. So
Daniel got a phone call last night.
I did get a phone call about it.
What is
Will Arnett again was wearing what? A t-shirt and jeans?
Yeah, he even pulled one out of his laundry was
a
done,
new
and
black
it's just a black t-shirt
out of Richard Gere's, who apparently does his dry cleaning.
Yeah.
I thought his little minifigure assistant lady did his dry cleaning or whatever.
I know, right? He switched
from that
it up
other
this
episode.
season.
I don't know, whatever. But yeah, Jamie and Amy. Who, you want to talk about that?
I don't know why. Amy is gorgeous. She is a gorgeous human being.
And she gets fantastic costumes most of the time.
She gets so many good costumes. And I love that she's tall in her heels. I love that for her. Mm-hmm. Who did that to her? She looked like she was from a cheesy saloon.
Yeah.
It was not steampunk.
It was a little bit Westworld, a little bit, I said like Pirate Wench, Pirates of the Caribbean maybe, I don't know. Barmaid,
yeah. It didn't translate. And she's so pretty. And I was like,
they could have put her in like an incredible like Victorian dress.
Oh
and
my
instead
gosh,
they
there's so many
shoved her in like a cheap, like probably Walmart or dollar store corset.
Right? It was, bless her heart. And she's still beautiful, but that was just, that was unfortunate. I felt bad for her.
Jamie looked pretty good. He had like the trench coat and stuff, but there were a couple of
shoulder pads.
He had big shoulder pads. The fingerless gloves were I think weird for him, but now that we're a few weeks in, actually, and we're shorter on teams, we can actually talk about some of the stuff we have here on the table, too. Yeah. We've had some stuff on the table throughout our series of episode reviews here for Season 5, but let's talk about some of them. We got a few here that we thought were steampunk specific. We have the LEGO Master Builder Academy Invention Designer. I would say one of the only explicitly steampunk things LEGO has ever made, apart from the recent steampunk inventor CMF.
From the newest, not the
most
F1.
recent one. Yeah, was it series? What are we on now? 27, I think. Yeah, I don't know. He's a pretty cool figure. I do have.
I have that one. It's really good.
But if you like steampunk, this is one of the only other things LEGO has maybe ever made from it. We also got here. This was the LEGO Masters like little gift with purchase trophy thing in here. Garrett grabbed the Dapper Grogu here. He's kind of steampunk with his little gold monocle there. This is the LEGO Masters logo. I actually built this. I brought this from home.
Oh, nice.
We got the LEGO Masters Classic box here. So if you're looking for LEGO Masters LEGO-related sets, this is, I think, one of the only... actually, it's not the only one anymore. The other one's sitting on the floor. Go ahead and grab that bad boy, Garrett.
Yeah. Look at that.
If for some odd reason you're looking for this set, you can get it on atlbrick.com. This is the, what's it called? Travel Moments. This was allegedly based on the winning build from last season. Chris and Roberts. Duck Bricks.
Yeah.
Their winning build from last season with the, what was it called? World Wonderliner? Was that the name of the plane?
Yeah,
World Wonderliner, yeah. So if you're looking for that set, we got it. That one in this classic box are, I think, the only LEGO Masters branded or related sets they've actually released.
Yes.
Yeah, so hopefully in future weeks we will have other theme-related stuff to put out on the table as well that we can talk about. We looked for Wicked stuff. I don't think we had any Wicked stuff.
We didn't have any in the store. It all sold. So that's
for that episode there. Mm-hmm. Yep. But next week we should definitely have some stuff on the table because next week is the Batman episode. This could potentially be the best one of the season for sure so far, maybe the best of the entire season. So super excited for this. I've always been a much bigger DC and specifically Batman fan than Marvel, so love to see Batman getting some love. So I will be very excited to talk about this next week.
I hope Will Arnett wakes up and actually does some Batman-related stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure he won't be able to help himself from at least doing the voice a little bit.
He better.
There will probably be some animated cameos from Lego Batman.
Didn't they have Lego Batman as one of the themes?
It could be.
It
Yeah,
could be one
probably.
of the themes, too,
Probably
so,
Lego
yeah.
Batman probably was one of them. That would make sense
Yep.
for sure. But yes, we will be bringing you that episode review as well next week here on Between the Studs. But thank you all for joining us for this episode. Please leave a like on this video if you have not done so already. It's very free, it's very easy, and it helps us out a ton. Thank you to Randy and Garrett for joining me for this week, and we will see you all next week to talk about Batman on Between the Studs as we continue our Lego Masters coverage. So thank you all for joining us this week, and we will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.